Welcome back. It is the final part of Tuesday's Premier League show, which has given Stephen Corker a good excuse to stop talking to Michael Dawson, which everyone is pleased about. Gillette's soccer special is on the way with Jules Warren and the team. After us, we're going to talk about one of your other former clubs, Stephen, Liverpool in the final part. Where do you think they are at this stage of the season?
Well, they've had a really inconsistent season, and I think the expectation on Arne Slot was that they were going to go again and win the Premier League, especially after spending so much in the summer. But it hasn't quite been as straightforward as he would have liked. I think the new signings have taken a little while to settle. I think the pressure is on him in a way to finish in the Champions League spaces. He spoke about himself. Anything less than that would be unacceptable. I saw them the other day against Sunderland. They were decent. They weren't the same Liverpool that we saw last season. So there's a little bit of something going on there, and they can't quite catch that same rhythm as what we saw.
Do you think, in a way, that Sunderland victory was impressive because we've not seen it from Liverpool this season? They've conceded so many late goals. They've struggled to see matches over the line, and in filthy conditions against a team that hadn't lost at home all year, to win 1-0 was actually a real good sign of character from the champions.
Yeah, it was an impressive win, for sure. It was an impressive win. And I felt towards the end, actually, Liverpool looked the most likely with Salah there on the break to score a second. So I think that would actually help the team. You know, when defensively you are conceding goals, you're looking for your forward players going, listen, get a second, kill the game off. So I think that Liverpool were looking for that second goal, actually, which was a positive sign. And I felt that Konate and Van Dijk just looked solid at the back, and I think having Robertson back in at left back, I think sort of added to that security that we've seen for so many years with Van Dijk and Liverpool. That sort of assurance at the back, it looked to be there against Sunderland.
Do you see a team that could be dangerous in the latter stages of the Champions League, and that last season is the prime example? Paris Saint-Germain, who in the group stages didn't look great, but by the time it got to the knockouts were an incredible side who swept everyone away.
Yeah, Liverpool in Europe, it's just, I don't know, there's just such a romance around it. The history's there. You can never, ever, ever rule out Liverpool. I think whenever they play at Anfield, they've got a chance to beat anybody in the world. I was there at one of the season when they played against Madrid, and they outplayed Madrid comfortably to win the game. So I do think there's always a chance. When Liverpool are in competitions, there's always a chance they could win it, and that would be a great relief for Arne Slot, because as I said, there are a few disgruntled fans where he set the bar high last season, and the expectation that follows that is you're going to do it again.
Well, that leads me on to one of the reasons that he might be under pressure, because there was an interesting piece in the Sunday Times a couple of weeks ago that said the main problem with Arne Slot is he's not Jurgen Klopp, and that even though he's had that early success, following someone who was so adored is such a difficult job, even if you win the league.
For sure. I mean, if you look at Jurgen Klopp's history, as they did to Jurgen.
Interesting then that his agent's been speaking in days gone by about potential approaches from Manchester United and Chelsea for Klopp, something that those two clubs have denied. But obviously it is no surprise that all the biggest clubs in both England and the wider world would be interested in someone like Klopp. What do you see as his next move?
I'm not sure. I don't see him ever returning to England if it's not with Liverpool.
Because he said that, didn't he? And he feels, I mean, having interviewed him a good number of times, like a man of principle, that is something he would steadfastly stick with.
For sure, his word is his word, and I think that he's Mr. Liverpool, right? I couldn't picture him anywhere else, in England in particular. Can I see a return to Liverpool? Maybe, but I don't see that being anytime soon. He spoke about, needing a break, wanting a break, and I think that that's the right thing to do at times, because the pressure these guys are under, the intense pressure, the daily scrutiny, the daily expectation to perform could be, I think, quite lonely from the managers that I've spoken to. So I think it's important that, obviously Jurgen takes a break, spends some time with family, and let Arne Slot do his job.
Even in those really early days then, when you became his second signing, did it ever surprise you what he went on to achieve after your experiences of working with him?
Not at all. Absolutely not, because when I was there, I saw what he was building from day one. So he had a very, very clear game plan, and it was every day in training he would show that. So there was no day off. The first 3 months, actually, there was no day off, literally
really?
No day off. He would make sure the team are training before games, so we'd go do a walkthrough before the game in the evening. He knew what he wanted from his players, and he demanded that from his players, and I think in a real healthy way, in a loving way that Jurgen Klopp does. And I think that when I walked away from Liverpool, I looked back on that and went, they're going to be a success, and they certainly were.
You touched on it a couple of moments ago that he has spoken about the importance financially as much as anything else of getting themselves into the Champions League next season. Now that might of course be by winning the Champions League, but in terms of league position, and we expect it to go down to a top 5, who might those 5 be when we could probably lock in Arsenal and Manchester City, but what about the 3 below them?
Well, I think Aston Villa, they're going to continue under Unai Emery in fine form. They had a little wobble of late, but I believe, listen, Unai Emery for me is one of my favourite managers. I think what he's done with Villa is incredible. So I want to put them in there in the top 3. For me, then you've got obviously Chelsea, United, and then Liverpool. I think that Liverpool will just about creep in there. I think it's going to be United in there and then Liverpool. And I do believe that Chelsea might just miss out there. As I mentioned earlier, Rossini's doing a great job, in my opinion, but he's building something for the future. So I'm not entirely sure that Chelsea will be there at the end of the season.
To what extent does it help Manchester United that they only play 1 game a week?
Massively. Of course, you've got the ability to rest the players during the week. They're able to give the players a day off. They're able to make sure that they're mentally prepared and also tactically prepared. Because when you're playing 3 games a week, it's so difficult for the managers to actually get time on the pitch to get across the message tactically. So having that time, that extra time, let's say, for United is a big advantage.
Does he, or how strong a case do you think he is putting together to be their permanent manager come the end of the season, Michael Carrick?
As we touched on earlier, I want to see young British managers in the Premier League. So I'm a big fan of his. I think what he's done is gone in there, he's galvanised United, he's got the core correct. So you've got your Maguire, you've got your Fernandes, your big players. He's gone and got them together. And then he's also recruited really well in Steve Holland, who's a top assistant who can, of course, work on the tactical side on the pitch.
And that is the other thing, I guess, with Villa, isn't it? That they're in the Europa League, and we have said it so many times that this is Unai Emery's competition, and you wonder if there might come a stage at some point this season where they might have to juggle, and Emery puts preferential treatment over the Thursday games rather than the Premier League games.
I think they'll be of equal importance where Villa are concerned. And Unai Emery, he's a serial winner. He knows what it takes. He's got a good enough squad, and I believe a strong enough squad at Villa to do both. So I do expect to see Villa there. Every time there's a little wobble there, they bounce back. And for me, that's a really good sign to have within your squad, that character, to know that, when things aren't going your way, give it another few days and they'll be back with 3 points.
Right, you better get yourself to the airport, hadn't you?
Yeah, I'm running late, actually.
All right, good luck with the new job. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Premier League show back tomorrow, of course. On the way next, though, it is a busy Tuesday night, as ever. One of the finest beards in broadcasting, Julian Warren, is all set and ready to go for Gillette Soccer Special. Tommy Smith, Joby McAnuff, Michael Dawson and Rachel Corsi alongside him this evening to take you through a busy night in both the Champions League and in Leagues 1 and 2 as well. That is coming next.